Have you ever dreamt of making $10 a day, $1,000, maybe even $1 million? What if I told you a particular man made $1 billion in just a day, while breaking an entire nation's financial structure? George Soros is a name that is synonymous with wealth and power. He's one of the most successful investors of all time, having amassed a fortune of over $8 billion. But what many people don't know is that an eighth of his total income was acquired in just a day. How did he do it? The year was 1992, and England was facing a financial crisis and on the verge of a national recession. Inflation was out of control, and the public was losing their minds. But the sad thing is, the UK government had already seen it coming for the past 2 years. Yet their only solution was for the Bank of England to spend a fortune trying to prop up the value of the British pound by printing as much money as they could and pumping it back out into the market. But as we've seen time and time again, this almost never works. Fears of a recession had the UK economy in a chokehold. Businessmen, investors, even the government all held their breath as they prayed for their finances to stay alive and not to fall into the hands of financial doom. All except for one man. Introducing George Soros. On the 15th of September 1992, George Soros and his team had an interesting idea. They started building a massive position against the British pound. Soros was in a hurry and desperate to increase his position. He borrowed money from anyone that would lend it to him so he could sell it on the open market to bring down the British pound. But this gave birth to even more confusion. When currency traders and money managers noticed that Soros built up a £10 billion short position against the British pound, they knew he had a plan. Otherwise, he wouldn't risk betting this much money. This led to other investors to also bet against the British pound alongside Soros. And on the morning of the 16th of September, the British government finally decided to invest in the pound so it could still uphold its value. They invested nearly £1 billion, but compared to Soros' $10 billion, this investment did practically nothing. Later that day, George Soros made £1.1 billion in a single day, and the British government lost over $3.3 billion. But this isn't where this man's story ends. Majority of people that know the name George Soros know only of his financial accomplishments and how he took advantage of and destroyed an entire nation's economy by spurring on mass inflation. But if this wasn't already bad enough, then this is sure to finish the job. What I've come to notice whilst doing research for this video is a dark and twisted truth lurking behind the name George Soros that goes beyond the well-known information about his financial success. Corruption, interference with elections, political threats, and everything underneath. Before we dive into the dark conspiracies surrounding George Soros, I would like to say that most of these are just that, conspiracies, due to the fact that there's a lack of evidence connecting the people involved. But with the amount of so-called conspiracy theories he's been linked to, it started to make people wonder if what was being said about him was actually true. In the early 1990s, the first conspiracy theories surrounding George Soros emerged, but it wasn't until he denounced the 2003 Iraq War and donated millions to the Democratic Party that they gained momentum. Since then, right-wing politicians and commentators in America have relentlessly attacked him. However, it was Donald Trump's rise to presidency that took the attacks on Soros to a new and hazardous level. In August 2017, 8 months into Trump's presidency, neo-Nazis held a torchlit rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, which ended in tragedy when a white supremacist drove a car into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing a woman named Heather Heyer. Right-wingers in America soon claimed that Soros orchestrated and financed the violence to besmirch President Trump's reputation. They singled out Brennan Gilmore, who filmed the car attack, as the key to the secret plot. Radio host Alex Jones accused Gilmore of being part of a deep state coup to overthrow the president and claimed that Soros paid him $320,000 annually. On a quiet afternoon in October 2018, a large manila envelope was placed in the mailbox of a luxurious country estate owned by George Soros in leafy upstate New York. The package was deemed suspicious as the return address was misspelt as Florids, and the mail had already been delivered earlier that day. Law enforcement was notified and the FBI quickly arrived at the scene. Inside the bubble-wrapped envelope was a photograph of Soros marked with a red X, alongside a 6-inch plastic pipe, a small clock, a battery wiring, and black powder, aka a homemade bomb. Similar packages were also sent to the homes of prominent Democrats, including former President Barack Obama and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. But none of the devices exploded. FBI was able to trace the bombs to a white van covered in pro-Trump and anti-democratic stickers, parked in a supermarket car park in Florida. Immediately, the right-wing media alleged that the incident was a false flag operation intended to undermine President Donald Trump and the Republican campaign, just 2 weeks before the crucial US midterm elections. Fox Business host Lou Dobbs tweeted, "Fake news, fake bombs. Who could possibly benefit by so much fakery?" Conservative talk radio host Rush Limbaugh added, "Republicans just don't do this kind of thing." Allegations flooded the internet, claiming that the bomb plot was orchestrated by Soros himself. Trump denounced the vile acts, yet a call to lock him up, aimed at Soros during a White House reception, seemed to amuse the president. Following the arrest of Cesar Sayoc, conspiracy theories emerged, disputing his Republican affiliation. However, a former colleague described Sayoc's tendencies to believe in various conspiracy theories, with Soros being the mastermind behind everything. Sayoc's social media activity further revealed his obsession with Soros, as he reposted a meme on the same day the pipe bomb was found at Soros' house. But once again, this isn't where this man's ties to twisted conspiracy theories ends. The ones spoken about in this video are just a tiny bit of the huge catalogue of conspiracy theories Soros has been linked to. This really makes us wonder, are these allegations just a mere figment of someone's imagination, or is George Soros really hiding a dark and twisted truth and isn't really the man he portrays himself to be? Only time will tell.